We are live here, Cancelecast Ep.1 here with Cancel Ryan Murphy. And today's episode is called Fuck Tom Brady. Because why? Because fuck Tom Brady. And who we have here with us today as my guest is amateur comedian Johnny K, chiming in from Brooklyn, New York.
Yeah,
what's up, John? What's going on?
What's up? How you doing?
How's it going on over there in Ghost Town, Brooklyn? I hear the fucking streets are empty for the first time since white settlers came and took the land from the Native Americans.
Well, it's same shit, different day, Just don't leave the fucking house, really.
Yeah, I mean, everything is a little different now, and especially me knowing you being a huge football fan, and sports is trying to give us as many stories as we would normally be getting if there was actual sports happening. But big news last week, with Tom Brady possibly now might be one of my neighbors. Not technically. He's going to be living in Tampa. I live on the other side of Florida. But, yeah, him going to Tampa Bay, big shock to me. I figured he would have gone with a team with a little bit more potential. But then looking back at it, seeing that, okay, well, he's got Mike Evans now he gets to throw the ball to. So that's got to be an incentive for him.
Right.
But, a lot of us, AFC, team fans are a little relieved in the Northeast, especially the Jets. As soon as we heard he was leaving the region, the division, just getting the fuck out of the Northeastern United States, we all just, okay, division's wide open now. Not really. The Jets are probably still going to suck, though. But, I mean, in all honesty, it's a little bit of a relief in that now that, they let them deal with them down there in Tampa. So do you think this gives Tampa any sort of like an edge? Do you think that it's possible that you could see him in the playoffs next season?
Yes, he's a locker room guy. That's a start, First thing he asked for was everybody's phone numbers before he even
Yeah, I heard that.
Godwin for his numbers, because Godwin wore 12, and now he switched to 14. And
that was one of his first requests, right? Wasn't that one of his first requests? He was like, I want everybody's phone number. That's what he told him.
Yeah, that was like the first thing he asked for, yeah. So you already know he's going to be a great guy over there. And, everyone's going to love him.
Yeah, he's probably going to be a great guy, but fuck Tom Brady.
I know, yeah.
All credit is credit due, man. I mean, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You can't deny it, even though, I hate him just by default. I have to, to. Just being a New York fan, you gotta hate Tom Brady. And he lived in New York. He lived in fucking Soho in some rich apartment during the off season. So technically, he's a New Yorker. That's what fucked me up, man. I'm like, ugh.
I don't know, man. I don't know, but fucking, their wide receiving core is a fucking problem. Godwin, fucking Mike Evans.
Yeah, they're dangerous.
Pretty good too. Yeah.
They're dangerous. With Brady at the helm, they could do some damage. But like everybody else says, O-line, is he going to be protected? Is he going to have that protection like he had, with New England? And who knows, man? Who knows?
Plywood and gum.
He might be a little soft, and I can tell you why I know he's soft. I'll tell you why I know he's soft. I know he's soft because the first thing he did when he came down to Florida was he looked at Jeter's mansion rental in Tampa, and now he's renting it from him. That's where he's going to live while he plays down here. Right. And he immediately complained that in this 30,000 square foot palatial home, it's a fucking mall. It's pretty much a shopping mall.
Fucking outlet, yeah.
And it's waterfront. He's like, people could easily just pull up their boat right to the house. I have no privacy. And I was like, no privacy? I was like, you're not going to have any privacy behind that fucking weak-ass O-line come the beginning of that of next season. Yeah. So that's why I know, like, if somebody does get through, this could be Brady's last season playing. Yeah, I mean, maybe he might have a role. I know he's on for 2, right? He signed for 2 seasons.
Yeah, he signed 2 years, $50 million.
So he could be on have a lesser role next season. If they rely on him too much now, his age could catch up with him, and you'll start to see an older Brady. I mean, I feel like his time is over because fuck that guy, man. Let everybody else shine. Come on, we need to see, like, Jackson and Mahomes, guys like them shine, Yeah, even still, like Darnold. I want to see Darnold do something good, I mean, he's a Jet, but you still hope,
Yeah, Sammy Sixth.
But that should help having Brady out. Brady's he's going to be a non-issue for the most part, unless he actually does happen to play one of these teams once this season, if at all.
Mm-hmm.
And it could balance out the possibility of seeing something different happen in the AFC East. And I mean, this is a different day and age in NFL altogether. And it being, having, COVID-19 out there, it could change the way the season even starts, if it starts the way that we think or hope that it's going to. Because from what I'm hearing with a lot of this stuff, right, and as far as and I brought this up on another YouTube video of mine about all these concerts getting canceled and stuff because they don't want mass gatherings. Now, when they said that baseball will be back in the summer, I'm like, okay, it's totally plausible that you could have under 100 people inside this venue to make a professional baseball game happen that will be televised so other people could watch it. Right. But a football game, on the other hand, is you're dealing with well over 200 people to make a football game happen. With the grounds crew, everybody who has to be there in the coaching staff, everybody who has to be there in the how are you going to have preseason games even in August with restrictions on the amount of people? And that was a huge question of mine earlier. I was like, well, what everybody else, the NFL, isn't immune to being affected by this. I mean, we all saw it, NBA canceled right away. UFC, Dana White tried to pull some strings, but canceled. Major League Baseball, before the season started, said that's it. We're out for at least the next two to 3 months. They didn't even question it. The Olympics canceled. All this stuff canceled. And NFL is acting as if they're still going on. And everything's going to go off without a hitch by September. A lot of people are saying they don't think, mass gatherings will be allowed until well into next year. How does NFL recover with not selling any tickets or filling any seats or not possibly being able to play? Let's just say with a scenario that they have to cut their roster in order to fit enough people legally on a field to have social distancing or whatever. There's no social distancing in football. That's the whole idea of football.
Yeah. There's no
personal space.
Going on. Yeah. Motherfuckers are touching, bro.
So what do you think? Do you think we're gonna see football in September as per usual?
As of right now, I think it's like 50-50. It couldn't, and it also can't at the same time. We got to see the curve flatten. Once that curve starts, shit could be all right. But you got to worry about like a second wave of it happening too. You never know. Like later down the year, fall season comes around again, and shit, motherfuckers start getting sick and shit, and everything's opened up. It could be even worse than it is now.
It could, they're saying like the second surge of or the mutation of the virus having having work its way back around everybody a second time.
Yes.
I said that happened with the Spanish flu, which is scary because being that, especially with sports, how it's a football. It was a contact sport, like a lot of other sports. You're close in the proximity of another person. There's sweat. There's somebody blood is easily, could be yeah. So it's dangerous in itself already, and then having this all looming up and the possibility of all that happening. That's why I'm worried about the football season starting on time, if at all. And if it does, I was saying, like, I had mentioned this to somebody, not in any video or any podcast or anything like that, but I had mentioned this to somebody saying that, well, baseball is trying to do this thing in Arizona where they're having all their teams, regardless of what city they're from, play out there and try to start the season around what would be midseason in July and have everything in full swing and try to play like nothing happened. But nobody's going to be allowed to be at the games. Baseball rosters are 25-man rosters, so you could easily have a baseball game with televised, being televised with, cameras and stuff and staff with under 100 people, it's, it could be pulled off. But with football, like I had mentioned, it can't. It's you can't do it with less than 200 people. You see the sidelines. In the Super Bowl, there's easily 1,000 people on each side. You know what I mean? Yeah. Easily. And that's not even people in seats. That's not in the 50,000, 60,000 person stadium.
That's like on the fucking field. Yeah.
Yeah. So if all these regulations stay in place in a lot of the regions, because a lot of the states are having their call on what they do. New York State, you see how Cuomo's running everything like a tight ship right now, and he's not going to lift anything unless it's totally 100% good to go. And New York being that 2 baseball team city, 2 basketball team city, 2 football team city, 2 hockey team city. Now they're probably going back to Long Island, though, but you see all these arenas, and they're not going to let anybody in there. And this is where all the New York teams are going to be playing out in Arizona. Do you think the NFL will be held to those restrictions because MetLife Stadium is right next to New York City. New Jersey's governor is staying in tight with the New York State governor and the governor of Connecticut, and they're like, we know that tri-state area is in its own one region. There's all those invisible borders mean nothing in a pandemic. So they're not going to probably allow any football games to go on, being that public transportation from New York City is so important going there. He's probably like, no, I'm going to do what New York does. So now you're fucking stuck in a situation where everybody's playing out west. So do you think football is going to fucking do the same thing too in September? Possibly. I think possibly that it could go that route.
I think it's too fucking hot down there for football. Like they probably go like an indoor facility somewhere, maybe, like Minneapolis. Yeah. It's cold up there. Everything's indoors.
They have practice fields. I think the Cardinals have like a giant practice field that's in one of those hangars, like in one of those huge, like the domes or whatever they are. Yeah. So I mean, like, listen, I hope I see football, man. And I need sports something. I wear sports gear almost every day and do wardrobe changes just to pretend like there's sports happening. You know what I mean? I jumped on that fucking bandwagon too with watching old shit on ESPN, even though I got bored of it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah. For real.
Yeah.
You get it happen.
But, now we know what it's going to affect with the NFL because we are already hearing stories about draft is going to be live streamed like what we're doing now. Like we could hold the NFL draft right now. So what do you think about that? Were you a fan of watching it? I mean, I think we had mentioned in a conversation earlier that Bill Burr mentioned something in one of his stand-up specials, and I totally fucking agreed with him. And I'm like, I understand, like, watching a fucking big game or whatever. And yeah, this is a big day in one of these kids' lives, but it's boring. What the fuck? It's like watching golf.
I love the draft. I fucking love the draft.
Yeah.
It's cool. It's cool seeing like these college kids and seeing like how much better they are than people in the past who've played football. Like people are the kids coming out are fucking freak athletes right now,
Yeah.
So it's just really cool seeing like the NFL go like a whole new fucking level, Then these could be like Olympic athletes and they're in the fucking NFL doing crazy shit, and it makes it that much more exciting. And when you get to really know these people, when they're doing like their interviews and stuff, you really become a fan of like the player themselves.
It's like what happened with Tim Tebow. Everybody fell in love with Tim Tebow the same exact way, just like that. Before he even came into the NFL, everybody fucking loved him.
Yeah. But hold on, that's the thing. I think it's almost like a gamble thing. It's like you can like a guy, but like you don't know if he's trash until he's on the field, or you don't know if he's like the best thing ever.
And we've seen that happen. That's why I can't get too excited because I'm like, the proof is in the pudding. I got to see you play up against these fucking big monsters because it's a different caliber of player, college to professional. Because professional, they're weeded out. They're sifted out. Only the biggest chunks fucking slip through. You get these fucking mammoth, these guys just, not even trying. They're walking around 320 pounds. And it's like, okay, you get this guy charging at you as opposed to the 250-pound guy that you were fucking getting charged at. That 70 pounds it makes a big difference in momentum when they're fucking coming at you. So, like how they perform under pressure and stuff like that. Because we've seen guys fucking fold. We've seen plenty of quarterbacks fold. What happened to Johnny Manziel? Johnny Manziel, party animal, right? And isn't that what happened? Didn't he like fucking smoke crack? He smoked crack once and he was like, fuck this shit. I'm fucking partying. That's it. And then no more Cleveland Browns for him.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's that other guy.
Like 2 seasons, 3 seasons, not even.
It was like 1.5, right? I don't know. It was short-lived. He did one commercial. He probably got fucking, some celebrity, repercussion from it. So girls were probably fucking throwing themselves on him a week into it. And then, and he was like, do I have to throw the ball? Can I just live like this? Didn't he play Canadian League? He played Canadian League football, I think. Yeah, right.
Tiger team, yeah. I don't know the name of the team, but I know they're like a.
Who cares? Who cares about Canadian football? I know nothing about the CFL.
Yeah, for real. Who gives a fuck?
Who gives a fuck? I mean, like, okay, speaking about the CFL. Okay, CFL, who gives a fuck about the CFL? I remember around the time, because I know how old you are, around the time you were born, Vince McMahon was in the wave of Attitude Era WWE wrestling and promoting and all that stuff, and he created something called the XFL about 20 years ago, and that was short-lived, and it was horrible. It was a shit show. If you were there to witness it, John, it was a fucking shit show. And you knew off the bat it was not going to succeed. So you've heard the legend, right? The legend of the XFL.
WWE and football together. I've seen what it was like.
It was horrible. It was horrible. Yeah. They tried to promote it. They did the live mics, which they did better this time around, getting to the point of my question that I'm segueing into right now. They improved on it a lot, and they relaunched it recently. And these new game rules and stuff are like, oh, wow, imagine they did this in the NFL, and it gets you thinking, I'm interested. These guys aren't the greatest of players, but the way that they got this set up, the way they have the refs system set up, the way they have the mic thing, they improved on it because they tried to make the drama thing happen in the original, but it was fake. It was kayfabe wrestling fucking drama that they planted with the quarterback to yell something at a certain time and fight with his own players and whatever. Anyway, now you're hearing these guys talk real time about their plays and the excitement and how and it's intense. It's like you're playing a video game almost, except it's live sports. Do you think the Rona killed the second coming of the XFL? Do you think COVID-19, even though the XFL was doing well and people were liking it, do you think it killed it? Another victim.
That shit's extinct, dog. Like it killed it. It's done. They said they don't have plans to return. So it's just fucked. They didn't get to finish the season. Just like the AAFL too. The ratings were so low last year that they just stopped mid-season. Like that was it. And but the XFL's ratings were really good through the first 4 weeks.
It was. I watched.
Yeah. People really liked it, but you're getting to see these players get signed from the XFL. Like what's his name? PJ Walker's he's on the Panthers right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's on the Panthers with Teddy Bridgewater, who got a contract there.
I was gonna say I was really sad for all these guys that they thought they had a job playing pro ball.
Yeah.
They all thought they had. Yeah, they all thought they had a spot playing pro ball, but I mean, my question was, do you think that they would have failed anyway? Do you think the XFL? Do you think they would have prospered next season? I think they would have picked up momentum and they would have expanded. There would have been a 10-team, organization, and then maybe they would have went to 12. I think they would have succeeded. Do you think they would have went past the season if they were able to complete it?
Honestly, I think they would have. They would have finished the season for sure. If this COVID shit wasn't going on, they would have at least finished the season. But I think the excitement would just fizzle out after that. Like,
nobody would have stayed pumped. You don't think that when the NFL season next year ended, they wouldn't have made a resurgence? You don't think so?
It might have just been a one and done thing, unless it made a fuck ton of money out of nowhere. Like the playoffs just spiked in ratings like crazy, like a normal NFL game.
I'm on the fence about it, man, because I really liked it. I think it's just only because I feel biased. Maybe I liked it. And that's why I'm feeling like, oh, it would have done successfully. But what I do hope comes out of this is, honestly, what I hope comes out of this is that maybe the NFL learns from some of the improvements that they made. You know what I mean? With all these, you know, like they are quick to change rules and stuff, you know, but sometimes not for the better. But it appeared that at least the XFL as an experiment is like proof that these things will work and that fans will react well to them because it's proven. All the positive feedback was from a lot of these changes that the XFL had made against the model of how a football game is played.
Right.
You know?
Well, they definitely got creative with their rules and stuff. Like,
think the NFL's going to listen though? Do you think they're going to listen?
Yeah. Did you see? Hold on. First, the booth what they're reviewing with the Xbox controller and the camera. It seemed to work really well, and it got the job done most of the time. So
yeah, I mean, like no more bad calls. I mean, like when they review to that, like there's no more bad calls, but you know they still make mistakes. I was still a little upset last season. A few mistakes that they made. Some games there were other teams that didn't need to get done dirty like that. You know, but I mean, there's still, like you said, improvements that need to be made. I mean, you know, hey, listen, if anything, hopefully that's the XFL's legacy, you know, is at least some. You know, I was hoping maybe Tom Brady was going to fucking go to the XFL.
Oh, yeah, fucking imagine that. Yeah.
I was like, because you smelled it a little bit last season, that this is the last season that Tom Brady's playing in New England. And I have a lot of friends.
That's like the last 5 seasons. What do you know?
But I knew
trying to get rid of him since Garoppolo.
Yeah. Since Garoppolo, yeah, I know. And you see like how
2012. That was 2012 when he got drafted. So he's trying to get rid of him for like forever.
Well, Garoppolo did really well in San Francisco. You know what I mean? He's got a Super Bowl appearance.
He did what he wanted to do.
But the thing is, you know, like you smelled it sort of brewing a little bit. Belichick was like, I need a young guy, even though it was never in the press. It was never, nobody ever leaked any information. There's no locker room leak, but you could just see it in his expression, the way they dealt with each other, even with Super Bowl appearances and Super Bowl wins after the fact that whole situation started. You knew that it would eventually was going to happen. I was like, there's no way he could go past this. Belichick is not playing with the 42-year-old quarterback. And he's not going anywhere. Belichick is going to be coaching until well into his 90s. He will be buried in a Vince Lombardi shaped trophy shaped coffin. I'm 100%. Or the urn will be shaped like a fucking Vince Lombardi trophy. I'm pretty fucking sure. But what I'm saying is, you know, Brady wasn't going to stay, and I was like, there's no way any other NFL team is going to take him unless they could afford him and they're desperate for a fucking a decent quarterback. I didn't see him going anywhere because no one else was going to pay $50 million. But Tampa, right away, $50 million. There you go, 2 years. You know, it could be an improvement for them. But you know, like let's see. I was hoping, like I said, that like, well, if he doesn't play in the NFL anymore, he could just go to the XFL. Vince McMahon would be insta-sign. He would give him a fucking $100 million just to have him in the arena. Or the fucking or the stadium.
I don't know if Tom would risk that. I don't know if he would do that. You know,
I wouldn't trust any of those old linemen. They're all fucking amateur. You see that shit. It's like you replace a bulletproof vest with a burlap sack. That's what it looked like. A lot of these guys are getting attacked.
He'd rather fucking retire than do that. I think, at least. You know,
maybe.
I don't think that'd be the smartest move for him. He'd at least go somewhere and be like a fucking QB coach or like retired and fucking do that shit.
Well, you know what? He did that interview thing. You know the Peyton Manning show that he has on ESPN? He has that interview show.
Oh, yeah.
So Peyton Manning's great. I was a fan of his even when he was an active player. But as an interviewer, he's fucking great. He's hilarious, great sense of humor. Yeah. And he had Tom Brady on, and they kept highlighting their rivalry and how much they, you know, had that disdain for each other. They had that playoff, the AFC Championship game. Yeah. And that's that year is when the Colts went to the bowl, and they won.
Against the
And
Saints.
yeah, and you know, they bring that up, and you know how like they may set up the kayfabe in wrestling to be like, oh, there's the heel in there, and they have a rivalry, and you fake your homeboy that you guys got beef or whatever. They were very cordial with each other, and their senses of humor were locked, and they were very polite. They're very polite, but there were backhanded comments on Tom Brady's part and on Peyton's part that I was like, yo, that's not scripted. These motherfuckers don't like each other. And I'm like, you know what? Tom Brady, even though he's a block-headed, Frankenstein-looking, arrogant bastard, I think he could do well. I hated A-Rod as a baseball player. I thought he was just like a fuck A-Rod. I felt the same way about A-Rod like I do about Tom Brady. And when he became a Yankee, as a Met fan, I was like, I hate him even more because of the whole Royd scandal and all that shit, right?
Yeah. I remember hearing about that, yeah.
So, but he's a great commentator. I love Alex Rodriguez as a sports commentator for, I think, Fox. I think he works for Fox, but he's fantastic. I think Tom Brady would do great in broadcasting. I think he would do awesome. He's got somewhat of a personality. I hate to admit it. I used to say he had none when, like back like 15 years ago. I used to say that no personality, fucking jock piece of shit.
And then you saw him on TED 2, and you were like, oh, he's all right.
Maybe he could act a little bit, you know. But yeah, fuck Tom Brady anyway. Off now to move off the field. Obviously, we said fuck Tom Brady a lot in this live cast, in this episode of Cancelecast, and you know that is the title. But I do want to move on to other things because aside from football being affected by this, there are way more dire situations for other sports because of when this COVID crisis happened to fall, and it happened to fall in the middle of a fantastic basketball season. Right. It happened to fall in the middle of the most momentum I've ever seen the UFC pick up, going from pay-per-view to pay-per-view. One of which we were supposed to go to that got fucking canceled. We were supposed to go to UFC 249.
It's cursed, bro. It's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Dude, you know what? And just to keep going on with that, no Olympics, which is like it happens during wars. Like during World War II, they canceled the Olympics, but it was World War II. It was a global.
They canceled it.
Yeah, so now they're canceling it because of the pandemic, which hasn't happened before, but this is the first for everything. And I'm saying that you know, the Olympics all these things got canceled. Major League Baseball postponed. I was able to go to a preseason game right before they canceled everything. And I got to see my Mets, took a couple pictures, bought some fucking merch, and they were like, all right, no more sporting events. And it was like, holy shit. Me and my buddy were like, that escalated real quick. That was like that. It was like, we thought we were going to be able to salvage something, and no. And so all these other, you know, all these other sports are suffering, you know, because of this as well. You know, also, you know, it's important for us to stay safe, and we shouldn't be fucking social gathering. And there are, you know, like hopefully with certain sports, there are ways to mitigate around that. Like, you know, obviously golf could probably still happen. You know, like you could probably have golf. You could probably have tennis. They said tennis may come back. Right. You know, because tennis, you only really need the 5 people on the court, you know, the two ball boys, the 2 tennis players, and the ref. And yeah, and you know, like UFC, I guess, you know, it is a contact sport, and there is the risk between fighter to fighter, but they can pull off. And we watched them do a fight night right when all of this cancel shit started happening, and they were canceling event after event. They were able to salvage just one event with nobody in the arena, but the only people who were allowed in the arena at any time were the ring announcer, the 3 judges, the referee, and each fighter and their fight camp, and that's it. So there was never more than 20 people. There was always less than 50 people at any given time. Yeah, and then when the fight was over, they ushered them out and got them to, you know, their respective place in the arena, and everybody was separated. So they could probably salvage UFC, but we're not going to be able to go to an event for, like I said at the beginning of this cast, you may not be able to buy tickets to an event until 2021. You may not be able to go to a UFC till then.
Or at the very least, like fall. That's
so who do you think hurts the worst? What sports do you think hurts the worst from this?
I don't think it would be a specific sport. I think all sports in general, you know, because not only is there no sports right now, but there's barely any fucking news, you know? There's like nothing to keep up on, you know, since everything's shut down, nobody's getting signed by anything, by anyone or nothing. So it's just like you gotta wait. I mean, at least we have the draft. They're gonna find a way to pull it off, but you already know it's gonna be whack as shit, and I'm pretty upset about that because, of course, it's the year the Bengals have the first pick. That, you know, nobody gets to see Joe Burrow walk across the stage with the first, you know, being the first.
You'll get to see it. You'll just be streaming it. You'll be streaming it. You'll be at home. You'll get to see it. You know, but it just won't be as epic. Like, they won't be popping bottles of champagne in the arena with the fucking ticker tape and shit. The first, what is it? They do that for the first, dozen picks or the first round all together. Everybody's celebrated, right?
Yeah, the first round is the one that they all go up and shake Roger Goodell's hand and shit, and like.
So everybody from 1 to 32, they fucking party they party like it's 1999, and then fucking it's off to the races.
And they have the handicapped kids read the players getting drafted and shit, all that jazz. Yeah.
I've never sat down for a full draft. Listen, I'll tell you what's enough. Fantasy sports drafting is enough. If I only have to do that twice, I do fantasy football, people, and fantasy baseball. Baseball's very fucking immersive. You become a statistician when you do fantasy baseball. And to sit through an auction, no less, fantasy baseball draft is one of the most grueling fucking things to have to sit through as a team owner. You know, like, I'm sure it's great for the fucking draftee in the football draft, but the team scouts are there for how many days? It's fucking torture. You're literally you're a sadomasochist if you're fucking sitting there watching these guys fucking grind their brains to a fucking powder, trying to figure out like who's next? I don't know. The other kid. Yeah, you know, Joe whatever. But didn't you say Joe this? Nah, whatever. Just fucking draft a Joe. It's like round 115. You're like, what the fuck, man?
They throw a fucking dart at the fucking map, and they're like, let's pick a kid from this state, whatever. You know, fuck it.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't think the draft is useless, but it's useless to watch. I mean, to each his own. I am more power to you. If you love it, you can fucking beat off to whatever the fuck you want. It's a free fucking country. But what I'm saying is, you know, like, I can't watch the draft. Good for them. Good. They're gonna make big money in the future. Hopefully, those kids. You know. Now, what sport do you think comes back the quickest, aside from NFL having the best potential because of when it lands during the season? What do you think is going to be? You're going to see back first before the two stated. We said tennis and golf, but fuck them. I don't watch golf. I don't watch tennis. Sorry, golf and tennis fans. I apologize. But you know, like, what do you think is going to come back the quickest after the Rona subsides a little bit?
I would say either the UFC or baseball, because I know baseball in Korea is already opening up and shit. Because South Korea was doing really good with the virus and stuff. And they might open up the UFC once everything dies down a bit, but like nobody's gonna be able to buy tickets to any events or anything, you know. It would just be like a huge pay-per-view thing and a fucking empty stadium with Bruce Buffer in a fucking desk somewhere or something like that, you know. You
gotta have Bruce, but Bruce not there. Yeah. Bruce wasn't there at that fight night that I had mentioned earlier that they had nobody in the arena, and I was like, this isn't a ring announcer.
Yeah.
I know this guy fills in on some international cards. He's another one. He's a fight announcer he works for the UFC too, but he fills in for Bruce Buffer when they're like in Singapore or fucking Abu Dhabi or something, like, you know, sometimes he does go to Abu Dhabi. He goes to like the big places like Dubai and shit like that. But you know, there's other, you know, maybe Australia. I don't think he was there for Australia or New Zealand. But you know, Bruce Buffer, you can't have an event in the States without Bruce Buffer, man. He's fuck. I love it. When he says fighting, when he does that gritty fighting, like, I'm like, you know, like, he doesn't look like the type to be a tough guy, but his voice is so menacing when he points at them. He goes, it gets me pumped. And when you're live and you know it, like when you go to a live UFC or a live MMA event, there's already that.
Like, you feel like a fucking animal. It's just primal. You know, it's like
especially it's so primal, like gladiators, right? And it's like gladiators. The closest thing you're going to get to that feeling that those motherfuckers got 2,000 years ago when they watched these guys battle to the death. So but it's in a controlled environment, and referees are very, very, very good with stopping fights and keeping the fighters protected. Usually, we've seen some
bad stoppages recently. Yeah, you've seen some fuck shit recently. I know.
Yeah, why didn't they stop the fight earlier? Why did they tap that? Why this guy didn't tap? Why did he call the fight?
Where were they fucking? This guy stopped the fight super early, really early, and people got pissed. People got really pissed at that guy. I don't remember the exact fight, but there was a fight that people were really mad that got stopped really early. So I don't know.
There was a Robbie Lawler, and that was one of the fights that Robbie Lawler had. One of his last fights that referee, I can't remember who the ref was, but he had stopped the fight early. Robbie Lawler got up like, what the fuck? I didn't tap, and he's like, I thought I saw you. He's like, I'm sorry. He's apologizing to him literally right there. Like, he knew he fucked up. He was like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. Herb Dean, and Herb Dean is one of the. He's a great ref. He's a great ref, Herb Dean. But Herb Dean called that fucking Robbie Lawler fight. I felt so bad. Robbie Lawler's one of my favorite fighters. Welterweight, and he was real pissed, and he understood. He was like, I know, like that angle when you're tucked into the fence, and he thought he saw. What he did was try to go and pull across because he had the hand almost in a rear naked.
Yeah.
Or he had him in a guillotine. He may have had him in a guillotine, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. He tried to pull back the arm, but what it looked like from over Herb's shoulder, over the other guy's shoulder, it looked like Robbie Lawler's glove going like this.
Uh-huh.
But, mistakes are made. What are you going to do? Sometimes you can't blame these people except you're that guy with the heart guy, the Harimoto, whatever it is. He's got a Japanese name. So, he fucked up. He's not even a ref, and you never see him ref for the UFC anymore. He fucked up so many times. Yeah. I mean, just as far as what I think is going to come back the quickest, I hope I was really hopeful. My opinion up until about 3 or 4 days ago was UFC will be back first. It'll be back before baseball. It'll be back before football. It'll be back before the NBA comes, but it'll be back before all of that. And I was 100% convinced that Dana White had this fucking, you know what I mean? He's
Fight Island.
Yeah, Fight Island. He had that Native American reservation in Arizona that they have a complex. They have a complex on.
Yeah.
But the United States government said no. There's nothing happening on mainland United States. They said that there was not yet. Yeah, Disney said nope. But Disney also has their ties in
everything.
The executive end of government, where they could easily, Disney could be like, hey, you got to stop this guy. Tell him he can't do it in the country. And because they knew it would be more difficult for him to go to Fight Island, to orchestrate that, to get everybody flown out. He knew he was going to get fighters that were already in the States that could possibly travel than to get people to go on planes. It was way easier to get somebody to drive than fly. But I had faith, and I was like, if anybody's going to do it, fucking Jay's going to do it. We're watching fucking Tony and Khabib fight. This fucking fight's going to happen. And then I was like, okay, no Tony and Khabib. Then Justin Gaethje stepped up, and I was like, him and Ferguson. I don't want to see Ferguson fight anybody but Tony Khabib, but I sort of want to watch Justin Gaethje fight Tony Ferguson. I sort of want to see that war. He's a beast. And the thing is, I was really convinced. And then as soon as I heard that he got governmented and Disney said no, I was like, Dana, sorry, bro. But I still believe that it will come back a lot quicker than this setback is letting us believe. I think that Dana will have something happen on Fight Island sometime before June. We'll see something put into play, and he might be able to salvage some of these fights that we got to miss. From 249. I mean, I honestly don't think we're going to see Tony Khabib ever. That's never going to happen.
Yeah, it's cursed. It's not going to happen.
They should just stop trying. Stop trying it.
Next time they try, it'll be World War III.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't want to know what's going to happen next time they put a fight together.
Except Ferguson will have an M4 in his hand, and fucking Khabib will have an AK-47 in his hand, and they'll be fucking seeing each other on the fucking battlefield.
Yeah.
The only way that fight's gonna happen is World War III. That's it. World War fucking III. Well, I'll tell you what. We're coming up on 40 minutes on this cast, and I'd like to thank you for coming on and giving me your perspective on this Tom Brady situation. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to have you on again. Maybe we'll do another sports one. Yeah, I'm looking to do a few of these, and maybe we'll do a movie one. We'll fucking shit on some movies. So we'll make fun of more shit than Tom Brady. Tom Brady's just an easy fucking target. It was a no-brainer first episode. I was like, what are you gonna say but fuck Tom Brady? And everybody else says it with you.
Fuck Brady, fuck Disney.
Yeah, fuck all that shit. So I'd like to thank everybody who tuned in and everybody who's gonna watch this video after I post it. And thanks to Johnny K. Hope you're saying something funny out there in the clubs. You better be hitting up the fucking clubs in New York City. That's the way to make it once they start letting people back in. But keep it up with the funny. It's good seeing you. Good talk. Guys, if you like this video, hit like and subscribe. Leave a comment. Let me know what the fuck you think, what you want to hear about later on, or whether or not you like this live cast, or if you want to just tell me to go fuck myself, that's great too. Any publicity is good fucking publicity. And like I said, like and subscribe if you see it. Next live cast will be about the UFC. And that's a little bit of the segue with the end of this video. We're talking about all the other fighters that had their fights canceled. Tony Khabib. I'll have a guest on. A fellow, UFC fan like me and you, John, and he'll give his perspective on what he thinks is going to happen with the fight game and Bellator and one, and we're going to talk about all that shit and everything going back into full swing, and hopefully after everything is not canceled anymore. This was Cancelecast Episode 1. Thanks all you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Next Cancelecast will be about the UFC. You guys have a good afternoon. Take care, John.
See you later, man.
Peace.